Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are well this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Ms. McLeod, Ms. Bridgewater. Ms. Bridgewater, the SAP reset date, please.
July 3rd.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Courtroom 2, are you ready for my announcement?
Yes, good afternoon, Judge Morrow.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. If you do not have a private attorney, we're providing you with the assistance of a public defender or a conflict defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their service. Let's see, who do we have first this afternoon?
Position number 8 is Hallman.
And who's representing Ms. Hallman? Ms. Rosenhuber, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Judge. How are you?
Doing well. Hope you are as well.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hallman. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003422Y with stalking. Who do we have on from Ms. Roberts? Good afternoon, Ms. Roberts. Is there a history? Are you with me, Ms. Roberts? Good afternoon, Ms. Harrison. Do you have the history for me?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'll pull it up so we can go more in depth, but I did have 5 arrest cycles. Hallman, Kayla. Yes, 1 second.
I had 2 DUIs, Your Honor. No.
Thank you, Ms. Hallman. Let me get it from the pretrial people. Thank you, or from the solicitor. I appreciate that, though.
Here we are. Okay. Okay, so we have okay, so she has 5 cycles total. There's a 2021 arrest from Douglasville, which is a DUI. It was DUI endangering her child. And yeah, there was no disposition on that one. It looks like the endangering her child was null prost, and she did get 1 guilty on the 3rd DUI charge on that arrest. She had another arrest out of Douglasville as well for a DUI in 2021 again. And the disposition on that one was deferred. She had another arrest for possession of a Schedule II controlled substance out of Douglasville in 2023, a 2023 arrest from Canton for possession of a Schedule II substance, a DUI and driving without a valid license. And those were all transferred and deferred cases. And her 5th arrest cycle, Your Honor, would be this one. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Your Honor, this offense occurred on May 5th, 2025. Officers responded to a call from Mr. Javid Walani, who informed Alpharetta Police that around 9 o'clock that morning, he got an alert on his phone telling him he was being tracked. The notification showed that the tracking started the day before around 2:52. At that time on the day before, he was actually at Adventure Air with his children, and the tracking device showed that it was registered to an owner whose last 4 digits of their phone number was 1679. He searched under his vehicle and found the H-tag tracking device on the underside of his vehicle with a magnet, and he believed it was the defendant who placed the tracking device under his vehicle due to her last 4 digits of her phone number being 1679. He did contact the police. The police reached out to the defendant to ask about the tracking device, and she informed the police that she didn't have a statement and that she'd been trying to serve him with papers. She also informed officers that Mr. Walleney had been speaking bad about her in front of the kids, and he was in contempt of court as they have an ongoing court case for custody of the kids. Officers searched databases and were able to locate the tag of the defendant's car in the area near Adventure Air on the day of the incident. And they were also able to confirm via her cell phone records that she was actually in the area within 5 minutes of the start time that Mr. Whaley was pinged for. Due to, we did speak to the victim today. He stated that he does share children with the defendant. He has not had any contact with her. He would like to ensure that she has no contact with him and stays away from his residence location and stays away from him. He is asking that at this point that they transfer the children over at a public space like a police station because they don't have a third party to assist them with transportation until the case is resolved. But he did state that the defendant typically sees the children once a month, and he has just absolutely no desire to see her. The state's recommendation, due to the nature of this offense, Your Honor, is a $2,500 surety bond. We're asking for a stay away from Mr. Javid Whaley, a stay away also from the incident location, which is Adventure Air. No contact with the victim, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond, and we'll sound for Mr. Whaley at this time. And that'll be all for the court, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Whaley is on the line. Wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Does not appear so. Ms. Rosenhuber?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Hallman is 29 years old. She resides in Cobb County. She did successfully graduate from an inpatient rehab facility that she now volunteers at regularly. She did have a substance abuse addiction issue previously that she has worked extensively through, and she's still going weekly to these programs. She is born and raised here in Georgia. Her family resides here. As the state indicated, she does share a child with the alleged victim. And I believe we would have no objection to them doing the transfer in a public space. She also doesn't desire to have contact with him. It sounds like the basis for this incident could have been due to a legal custody serving of papers situation, not something where she would ever intend to harm him. Your Honor, she also has a job working at Live Recovery, Mental Health and Addiction. She's a caseworker there. She's a high school graduate and has been working towards getting her associate's degree. At this time, Judge, we would request a signature bond through pretrial. Thank you.
It will be $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Mr. Whalen. Stay away from his residential address. Also, the incident location. There will be third-party transfer of the child. I don't care where that transfer takes place, but I don't believe that they're going to have to find someone to transfer. I don't believe that it's healthy for them to be at the same spot at the same time. So they're going to have someone to assist them with transferring the child. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Hallman.
Your Honor, what was that bond amount again?
$3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Position number 9, Ms. Harley.
Good afternoon, Ms. Harley. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003421E with theft by shoplifting. Is there a history? Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
Ms.
She has
Roberts.
a total of 16 cycles. Last arrest was March of this year for a probation violation out of Clayton County. Currently appears to be on probation for aggravated stalking, disorderly conduct, and willful obstruction. That disposition was from February of this year. A given false name conviction in 2019. A 2013 petty larceny conviction in New York. 2 FTAs, one in 2025 and the other in 2022. And nothing further.
Mr. Chataya, good afternoon. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go to Ms. Harrison first, though.
Yes,
Ms.
Your Honor.
Harrison.
This incident occurred on June 18th between 12 and 1 p.m. at 5200 Wynwood Parkway in Alpharetta, which is the Walmart store. The defendant was observed changing the price of 3 shirts with a price tag of a tumbler cup. She was also observed taking 2 more shirts, a can of Doritos, 5 helium tanks, at one point while she was in the store. The value of those items was $191.50. And then she was also observed on camera stuffing several items into a large container, and the items included Pampers, baby wipes, coffee, popcorn, and lotion. And the value of that amount was $189.80. The state's recommendation in light of the defendant's previous criminal history, including the FTAs and the petite larceny charge from New York, is $1,000 surety bond on each charge, so a total of $2,000. A stay away from the Walmart, completion of an anti-theft class, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chataya.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Harley is 37 years old. She has lived in Atlanta for the past 8 years and she has family in the area, including sisters, grandmother, nieces, and nephews. She got through school as far as the 11th grade, and my understanding is that currently she's unemployed and that she was in custody from January 1st to May 7th. For those reasons, Your Honor, she wouldn't be able to afford the bond that the state is asking for, and she requests a signature bond.
It will be $1,000 good bond. Stay away from all Walmarts. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Your
Do we
Honor,
have-
excuse me. Mr.
Yes, Ms.
Jataya's
Ridgeway.
volume is very low. I'm having a little problem hearing him. But I heard what you just said. The judge announced the order, but can you turn your volume up just a little bit, please?
Yes, I can try.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Number 19, Ms. Oliver.
Good afternoon, Ms. Oliver. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003428G with battery family violence and 2 counts of simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
A total of 6 cycles. Last arrest was from September of 2023 out of Washington for assault, domestic violence. The disposition was no charge filed. A 2016 conviction out of Nevada for disturbing peace, and a 2011 conviction out of Nevada for resisting public officer. And nothing further.
Mr. Nixon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This incident occurred on June 18th, 2025. Officers responded to 120 Fruitwood Trace, Apartment A, that's in South Fulton. Upon arrival, officers spoke with the defendant, and the report states that it was evident that the defendant was very intoxicated. The defendant stated that her and her daughter, Layla Adside, that's the victim, had a verbal and physical dispute over rent money. And the defendant claimed that the victim attacked and punched her in the face, causing visible injuries to her nose. Officers spoke with the victim. She stated she was sleeping when her mother entered her room demanding rent money. The victim stated that she exited the residence when the defendant began to act irate. The defendant pushed her against the vehicle in the driveway while yelling at her. Victim then stated that she pushed her mother back in self-defense. Now, the victim attempted to go back inside when she knocked on the front door. That's when her mother came out, the defendant, and began throwing punches at the victim. The victim had visible injuries on her right leg, left arm, left side of her torso. There was a witness, Brittany McDowell, who corroborated the events and confirmed the defendant was the primary aggressor. Officers speak with the victim. She contacted the police to de-escalate the situation here. The victim stated that she had no intention of having her mother arrested. However, her behavior is irate when she drinks. Victim stated that she has no fear of her mother and would like no further violent contact and believes that an ADET would be sufficient. As you've heard, Your Honor, we've noted violence in Nevada, as well as recent assault in the second degree from the state of Washington. Per these facts and per the criminal history, Your Honor, the state's going to ask for a $2,000 surety for the battery family violence, $500 surety for the simple battery family violence, another $500 surety for the simple battery family violence. As of right now, the state is going to ask for no further contact with the victim to promote a cooling off period, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, FVIP, and alcohol drug evaluation treatment. Nothing further.
If Ms. Layla Esai is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. Ms. Rosenhoover?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Oliver is 48 years old. The address on file is her current address. She is the only one currently paying bills and rent at that address. It's my understanding from speaking with Ms. Oliver that her daughter who's 19 years old, did recently come back to live with her, but that her daughter does have somewhere else where she can reside. She is also receiving SSDI for a mental health situation, Judge. And she was very open with me that drinking certainly does escalate situations. I wouldn't have any objection to an ADET. The primary issue here is that she is not going to be able to post any amount of bond or work with a bonding company. And she does have an associate's degree. Judge, given that, we would request a pretrial services bond so that she's able to sign herself out. We don't have any objection to the conditions of no further contact or to getting a drug and alcohol evaluation, but she will be stuck in custody if it's any amount of a surety. Thank you.
And for the battery, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. For each of the simple batteries, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2 makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further violent contact with Miss SI. She's to have an ADET. She is to also have random drug and alcohol screens. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Ms. Oliver, I'm going to let you sign yourself out through pretrial, but if you test positive for having alcohol, then the bond will be withdrawn and you're going to be right where you are now. All right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Number 23, Welch. Hold on.
Good afternoon, Mr. Welch. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003425J with battery and simple battery. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
A total of 17 cycles. Last arrest was from May 31st of this year out of Union City for willful obstruction and tampering with evidence. That does appear to be an open case. A 2015 conviction for disorderly conduct and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. A 2019 conviction for willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. A 2023 conviction for giving false name. A 2023 conviction for driving while license suspended or revoked. Appears to have an open case, battery, family violence, and theft by taking. 22 CR 008470E. That case is in bench warrant status, and nothing further.
Mr. Nixon?
Yes, Your Honor, this occurred on June 8th, 2025. Detention sergeant at 901 Rice Street was conducting a security check on 3 South and was advised of a possible incident. Officer stated that while conducting wound care, they found that the defendant had a new gash mark on his face, or marks, actually. Defendant claimed he fell in the shower and refused to give any more information. Defendant was actually caught on camera standing outside cell door 614, throwing a right-handed punch at the victim, inmate Rodney Giddens. Another inmate. The other inmates attempted to break up the altercation, but the defendant then returned again to attack the victim. You've heard the criminal history. I did note the open 2025 battery, family violence, including children. The first, that's 25 PI 004374 with no bond status. So, per the criminal history, per the facts in this case regarding the violence, state's going to recommend a $3,500 surety for the battery and then a $1,500 surety for the simple battery. No further contact with the victim and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond.
Thank you. Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 33 years old, and he tells me that what happened was that Mr. Giddens came to his cell. They do not share the same cell. Mr. Giddens came to his cell and confronted him. He had a knife in his hand. I think that is how my client got the injuries to his face, because Mr. Giddens attacked him, Your Honor, and he was just acting in self-defense when he struck back at Mr. Giddens. I believe that when somebody comes to where you are, where you live, and they come with a weapon and you see that they're going to attack you, you have every right to defend yourself. And I believe that is what happened with my client, Your Honor. He does not, as the state says, he has a situation on which he has no bond. He has been arrested for some time now because he tells me he was first held uh, in East Point for a while. He lost his job after he got arrested, so he's not in a position to pay for bond. He does tell me he's going to court, I believe next week, Your Honor, to see if he can have his bond status modified in the other case. Based on that, I'm going to ask the court to consider giving him a signature bond because I do believe, based on what he tells me, that he would have a good defense against this particular charge once he is able to get out and properly follow up and we can see the evidence as to what really happened. Nothing
And,
further, Your Honor.
and Your Honor, this incident was caught on camera with the batter.
I understand, but my client tells me that the other guy, Mr. Giddens, had a knife in his hand, and nobody has disproved that. My client did have marks and cuts on his face. I believe you stated that as well. So there must have been some way that he got those cuts on his face. He didn't self-inflict those cuts.
Nothing further. For each charge will be a $500 good bond, makes for a total of a $1,000 good bond. No further violent contact with Mr. Giddings, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Welch.
Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you, Ms. McLeod. Appreciate you being
Welcome.
here. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Thank you, Your Honor. You too.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Number 12, Jackson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson. You've been charged in case 25 CR 003432A with driving while license suspended or revoked, affixing materials to the windows or windshield that reduces light transmission, and expired tag or unregistered vehicle. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
A total of 7 cycles. Last arrest was May 31st of this year for driving while license suspended or revoked and acquiring a license plate for purpose of concealing identification of a motor vehicle. That is an open case 25 CR 002-111A. It also has a second open case for habitual violator 25 PI 000710 and nothing further.
Yes, Ms. Harrison.
Yes, Your Honor. This case was actually bound over from municipal court. So we don't have any facts, but we do have that the previous bond was a $5,000 cash bond. In light of the defendant's 7 previous cycles, all have something to do with his driving while license is suspended, particularly like this incident was from April 12th. And he was arrested again subsequently on May 31st for driving while his license was suspended, and then he was arrested again on June 18th for driving while his license was suspended and a tent violation. And on that stop, officers discovered his FTA for the April 12th case, which is in front of you today. So in light of all of that, the state's recommendation is a $2,000 surety bond, which is $1,000 on driving while license is suspended, $500 on the 2 other counts. And we're going to ask for no driving while license is suspended, Your Honor. And that'll be all for the state.
Just so I'm clear, Ms. Harrison, was this the April 2025, was this the first in line of those 3 cases? So we has one in one in May, and then one in June?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
Oh, okay, and for the one, is it May or June, does he have the $5,000 cash bond?
It would have been this one, the April 12th, 2025. 2025, I'm sorry. Yeah, the bond was set, it's a $5,000 cash. Yeah, for this one.
Okay, for this one.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
on
yes,
the,
thank you.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, that's clear to me. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chitaya.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't have the facts either, unfortunately. Mr. Jackson is 31 years old. He's lived in the Atlanta area since 2017. He's a high school graduate. Currently, he's unemployed and would not be able to afford the bond the state is asking for. However, most recently, he worked in the aerospace industry as an inspector, and he did that for about 5 to 6 years. And in terms of his family, he has one aunt that also lives in the area. For those reasons, Your Honor, he requests a signature bond.
Okay. And Ms. Harrison, again, does he have a bond on the May and the June cases?
I can look those up. I don't have that in front of me. Give me just 1 second. Let's see. Okay, on the 531 case, I see $1,000 good bond. And yeah, that was $1,000 good bond, $250 on one charge and $750 on the other. No driving without proper credentials, and that was set by you, Judge Morrow, on June 2nd. And the other one is
That's fine. I just want to make sure that he had a bond. So I've seen him before. Presumably, we should have caught this case at that time, right? Because this happened first in line.
before. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, for the driving while license suspended, it'll be a $500 signature bond through the jail. For each of the other charges will be a $250 signature bond through the jail, makes for a total of $1,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Presumably, had we caught this at that time, we could have placed this bond with the other bond that I gave him at that time. But since we didn't, I'm not going to hold him accountable for that. So I'm gonna let you out on this charge, Mr. Jackson. But if you are caught driving and not having a proper license, you're going to be right back where you are, and the bond's only going to get higher. Good luck to you, sir.
Number 13, Kelly.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Kelly. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003416C with 3 counts of criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, a total of 4 cycles. Last arrest was from April of 2024 for aggravated assault and battery family violence. That is an open case. Also appears to have an open case for possession of marijuana and an open case out of Clayton County for criminal damage to property and simple battery, and 1 FTA from 2023. Nothing further.
Afternoon, Ms. Fall.
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. How are you?
Good, thank you.
This incident happened December 22nd of 2024 at 301 Skipper Place Northwest, number A in Atlanta, or letter A, I guess. The defendant had come over to Miss Hunter's home, Sierra Hunter's home, had a verbal dispute with her, and then she said as she was placing the remainder of his belongings outside her front door, when she closed the door, the defendant tried to kick her door, did kick her door, causing visible damage to the door. Miss Hunter also stated she opened the door and struck the defendant with a TV to prevent him from re-entering her home. And he threw a shoe at the front window of her home, causing it to shatter and be broken. He also broke the rear window of her vehicle. She estimated the damages were in the amount of a range of around $500, and they are the parent of a 1-year-old child. The issue that the state has on this one, Your Honor, is the defendant currently has a no bond on an FTA on that aggravated assault, family violence, battery, possession of firearm. That's under 24 SC 004372. That involved the same victim, but she was going by a different name, Sierra Thicklin. In that case, he pointed a handgun at her. And there is also a foreign county hold from Clayton County. In the aggravated assault case, which the victim was the victim of that case, the court issued a $40,000 surety bond with no further contact with Miss Sierra Hunter, third-party visitation, and no firearms. We double-checked and made sure it was the same victim. She had actually given the same phone number and email in the DA's case as she did in this case, so that's how we know it's the same person. We did have a chance to speak with Ms. Hunter. She stated that she has not seen or spoken with the defendant in the 2 to 3 months since this event. They are still currently married and share a child. She stated the damages to her property were repaired. Although she stated she has no fear for the defendant, Your Honor, the issue is that there is currently a no further contact that he was in violation of when he went back to her house and kicked the door, shattered her window of her home, and then shattered the window of her vehicle. And he was in violation of that and is also in violation of an FTA on that same case, which is what he's also sitting in jail for. There's currently a $3,000 bond preset. We're asking to increase that to a $5,000 cash bond. Stay away from 301 Skipper Place. And we're also asking for no further contact with Miss Sierra Hunter, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and no firearms. We are definitely concerned, given the nature of the previous offense in which he allegedly pointed a gun at her, and now this current offense where he is in violation of that previous $40,000 surety bond. We feel that a stronger bond is now necessary based on the willful violation of the IALA factors in this case, Your Honor. We would like to sound at this time for Sierra Hunter, and that's all for the state.
And just so that I'm clear, Ms. Falk, the aggravated assault and the battery family violence, what was the date of that offense, those offenses?
Your Honor, the date of that offense, I can give you the date of the bond because the bond actually was subsequent to that offense, obviously, and was pre this offense. The date of the aggravated assault was April 8th of 2024, so about 8 months before this offense. He was indicted in August of 2024, and he bonded out on this case, on his previous case, in May of 2024, and then 7 months later committed this offense, and then subsequent to this offense failed to show up for court on his aggravated assault, and now is in jail on the FTA on that with no bond.
Okay. Yes, before I go to you, Mr. Chataya, is Ms. Hunter, Ms. Hunter's on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Does not appear so. Yes, Mr. Chataya.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Kelly is 26 years old. He tells me he is a lifelong resident of Atlanta and that he got through school as far as the 11th grade. Currently, he's unemployed and would not be able to afford the bond that the state is asking for, although from time to time he does yard work on the side, is my understanding. In terms of his ties to Atlanta, he also has family here, including his mother, brothers, sister, grandmother, and uncle. For those reasons, Your Honor, he asks for the lowest surety bond possible.
Okay, given that he's in no bond status on one case, we'll see him back at the SAP calendar on July 3rd. And you all can argue for bond modification if you choose to at that time. At this time, for each charge will be a $2,000 good bond, makes for a total of on each charge, makes for a total of a $6,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Hunter. Stay away from the Skipper Place address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Can I say one thing before I go?
No, you have a right to remain silent. Well, let me just say, you have a right to remain silent, sir. Anything you say can be used against you. We'll see you back at the SAP calendar. You'll have the opportunity to speak with your counsel, and he can tell anything that you need to say at that time.
Position number 22, Harry.
Good afternoon, Mr. Terry. You have been charged in case 25CR003423E with battery and simple battery. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
25 cycles. Last arrest was from 2018 out of California for obstruction. That was a conviction. All of his convictions are out of California. 2018 shoplifting, 2016 grand theft, FTA from 2015, and driving while license suspended or revoked from 2012. And nothing further.
Mr. Nixon?
Yes, Your Honor. This occurred on June 6, 2025. Deputy was notified by a detention officer of an incident that occurred on 3 South at the 901 Rice Street. Victim's name is Dante Long, who stated that the defendant hit him. Officer observed a black eye on the victim as well. In a statement by the defendant, he actually admits to hitting him because the victim, in his words, kept disrespecting him or kept being disrespectful. I noted the 2025 open battery, family violence, simple battery, family violence, and cruelty. That's 25CR001184E. He received I think he has a $3,000 surety ordered by Judge Williams. As such, Your Honor, the state's going to recommend a $3,500 surety for the battery and a $1,500 surety for the simple battery. No further contact with Dante Long, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
So he's currently in with a $3,000 surety. Is that right, Mr. Nixon?
Yes, that's what I have researched. Yes.
Okay, and when did he receive that? I'm sorry.
I'll get you the.
Because if that's the case, then he should already be on an SAP calendar. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to.
So, Judge,
You-
if I may,
Yes.
he is currently represented by our office. I spoke with Mr. Rogowski earlier today. He is working with Mr. Terry. Mr. Terry's been in custody for 106 days. They're working on getting him a social work visit to potentially get into an inpatient rehab facility. But this is already a case that's being worked on by our office, given the fact that I'll hold my argument until Your Honor actually wants to hear it, but just
Okay,
that addresses that.
that seems to clear it up for me, Mr. Nixon. Is that the case?
Yeah, and I saw the order there for March 7th, 2025, the order for the bond, $3,000 surety bond.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, Ms. Rosenhuben.
Mr. Terry is 43 years old. If he is released and when he's released, the address on file is still a good address for him. He's resided here in Georgia since July of 2023. He was previously a forklift operator and completed 2 years of college. Judge, given the context of his other case that's holding him in and the work that he and his attorney are currently doing to get him placement in a residential facility, that may be done through a bond rather than a resolution. So at this time, Your Honor, we would ask that these charges be signature bonds through the jail, given the fact that he already can't afford the $3,000 surety that he currently has.
Okay, so I'm restricted. I can't send him through the jail because of SB 63. I presume that on the other case, that if you do work that out, that he'll be going through pretrial on that case. So I'm going to send him through pretrial on this case as well. It will be for each charge a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 1. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 1. No further violent contact with Mr. Long, and stay away, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Taylor.
And Your Honor, just to put on record, he did have SAP was reset jail jury in March. So just want to put that on.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nixon.
Number 20, Power.
Good afternoon, Mr. Powell. You have been charged in case 25CR003430C with battery family violence, 3 counts of simple battery family violence, and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, a total of 17 cycles. Last arrest was from October of 2020 out of Coweta County for possession of drug-related objects, conspiracy to commit a felony, an attempt to commit a felony, criminal attempt to commit a felony. Those were convictions. Appears to be on probation out of Coweta County for aggravated battery. That disposition was from 2015. It was a 20-year sentence. Also appears to be on probation out of Coweta County for possession of a firearm by convicted felon. That disposition was January of 2022, 15 years probation. So with that case was 3 counts of aggravated assault conviction and criminal damage to property. A 2015 conviction for willful obstruction of fray and giving false name. A 2013 conviction for simple battery and criminal trespass. 2012 conviction for burglary and criminal trespass. Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Nixon?
Yes, Your Honor. This occurred on May 6, 2025. Officer was dispatched to 5474 Oakley Industrial Boulevard, apartment 716. And upon arrival, the officer met with the reporting party, later identified as Anisha Britt. She's the victim. Ms. Britt stated that the defendant was upset, became enraged, and took out his anger on her while she was laying down in bed. The defendant hovered over her, striking the victim with a closed fist in her face in an effort to avoid getting struck in the face. Ms. Britt stated that she had to turn away while in the bed. The defendant continued to strike Ms. Britt all over the place of her body, about 8 times. Knot was formed on the right side of Ms. Britt after being hit in the face. The defendant then proceeded to chase Ms. Britt around the apartment. He then grabbed her by the hair and proceeded to slam her into the sofa located in the living room. The altercation then made its way outside of the residence, where the defendant chased the victim around the apartment complex. And that's when Ms. Britt advised that she was able to enter her vehicle to avoid the defendant. Your Honor, the defendant has a history of being the primary aggressor in the domestic disputes in the past. Ms. Britt also advised that this isn't the only incident where the defendant was physical with her. This incident marked the 15th physical altercation between the two. The defendant was also stated that in the past he would kill the victim and himself in the past. It was also advised that the defendant was still on parole for domestic violence during this incident. During the altercation, the defendant damaged Ms. Britt's prescription glasses, PlayStation controller, iPhone 15 Pro during the dispute. And those ranges were varying as well. Our office did speak with the victim. The victim has recanted her statement. However, I want Your Honor to take note of the injuries in this case, the history, including ag assault convictions, along with the other convictions that pretrials pointed out. That's the battery, family violence, simple battery, aggravated battery, terroristic threats. In the state, we'd like you to consider that at least 80% of the victims recant. And this is just evidence of the cycle of violence here at play in this particular case. As such, with the criminal history, the warrant that's out of Atlanta for parole violation, and the alarming facts in this case, Your Honor, the state is going to recommend a $10,000 surety for the battery, family violence, a $2,000 surety for each simple battery, family violence, and a $1,000 surety for the criminal trespass, and that's a total of $17,000 surety in this case and on this case. The state is also going to recommend no further contact with the victim, Anisha Britt, and stay away from 5474 Oakley Industrial Boulevard, apartment 716. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, as well as FBIP. And the state would ask the court to sound for the victim when appropriate. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Britt is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. That appears so. Ms. Rosenhuber?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Powell is 31 years old. He is a lifelong Georgia resident and does have family here in Georgia. If he is released, he has no problem staying away from the alleged victim. He does have a new address he can go to in Noonan. He can reside with his aunt. He has been unemployed for the past month, but prior to that, he was doing warehouse work. He also has an 8th grade education. Judge, we would request that the bond in this case not exceed $3,000 surety. And we have no objection to the no further contact, stay away, or FIP.
Okay. $1,000 good bond for each of the other charges will be $1,000 good bond, makes for a total of a $9,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Britt. Stay away from the Oakley Industrial Boulevard address. Family Violence Intervention Program. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Powell.
Your Honor, do the breakdown one more time. You kind of went in and out.
Okay, that's fine. 5,000 for the battery and 1,000 for each of the other charges. Makes
Thank
for a
you.
total of a $9,000 good bond.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Position number 18. I'm sorry. Position number 2, Brown, next.
And Judge, if we
Do we
could,
not want to, right, do we not want to do this at the end of the calendar?
Okay, we can do number 18.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Martinez Portello. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003420B with loitering and prowling and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
I show a total of 16 cycles. Last arrest January of 2025 out of Tift County for giving false name, obstruction of a law enforcement officer. I did not see a disposition. A 2015 conviction out of Missouri for assault and a 2003 conviction out of Missouri for passing a bad check. Nothing further to add.
Thank you. Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. This happened on June 17th at 3:45 a.m. Defendant entered the parking deck at 162 Jesse Hill Drive Jr. in Atlanta. That's a state parking deck for employees only. And so when they went to take him out of the parking deck, he resisted arrest and tussled with the officer. The state's recommendation on this is a signature bond through pretrial services, that the defendant stay away from that location at 162 Jesse Hill Drive Jr. in Atlanta. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. We're also requesting a social worker visit.
Yes, Ms. Rosenhuber?
yes, Your Honor, we wouldn't object to a signature bond through pretrial services. Mr. Martinez Portello is 48 years old. He advised he was a lifelong Georgia resident, is currently receiving disability, and he is a high school graduate. I do think a social work visit would be appropriate in this case, or an MHET perhaps through pretrial, however the court wants to do it.
Okay, so why don't we have him have a social worker visit and they can assess for BHET. If it's noted that he needs something more substantial, then they can report that back and we can get him the help that he may or may not need. As such, it will be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 for each charge, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from that Jesse Hill address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Number 10, Paris.
Good afternoon, Mr. Harris. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003424F with 2 counts of simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
I show a total of 45 cycles. Last arrest was May of 2024 for driving without a valid license. A 2016 conviction with the feds for aiding and abetting robbery. A 2024 conviction for driving without a valid license. 2010 burglary conviction. A 2010 burglary and driving while license suspended or revoked conviction. 2010 disorderly conduct. 2009 terroristic threats and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. 2001 federal case for robbery. Nothing further.
Ms. Harrison?
Yes, Your Honor. On February 20th, 2025, officers responded to a 911 call from Ms. Jonquiria Scott, who reported being assaulted by her boyfriend at 6105 Renaissance Way, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia. When officers responded, they took Ms. Scott's report, and during the follow-up investigation, she stated that her boyfriend, whom she identified as the defendant, had taken her 3 phones while she was sleeping and was going through them. And when she woke up, she asked for her phones back. He refused to give them back. So he became upset and pushed her away from him into the wall. And he started to leave and grabbed her car keys. She tried to get her car keys back from him, and then he slammed her head against the wall several times before leaving. Officers were able to pull his ID from their Omnic space, and she did confirm his identity through photo. The state's recommendation in light of the defendant's criminal history is a $2,000 surety bond, a stay away from the incident location, no contact with the victim, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while on bond. And we will sound for Ms. Scott at this time, Your Honor. And that'll be all for the state.
Scott is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, Ms. Scott, I'm going to need for you to come on camera for me.
Okay. I'm here.
Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down, ma'am. Thank you. What would you like to tell the court?
I just wanted, it was a misunderstanding, but I didn't tell the police officer that he slammed my head to the door. So I don't know where that came from.
So this allegedly happened in February. Have you all been together since that time?
Yes, we have. I just had a newborn. We just had a baby.
Okay, congratulations, ma'am. And you've had no further problems since that time?
No, none at all.
What about before February? Did you have any problems between the two
No,
of you?
sir. No, sir.
Do you want him back in the household?
Yes,
Is he employed?
yes.
And is he taking care of you and the child?
Well, right, he's been dealing with this situation, and I literally just had her, so she's 2 weeks old.
Oh, okay, very good. Anything further, ma'am?
No, I don't like fear for my safety or anything like that. So it was just a big misunderstanding.
Thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Scott.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Uchitaya?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Harris is 44 years old. He's a lifelong resident of Atlanta. He got through school as far as the 10th grade, and he told me that he is a full-time security guard and that he's been doing that for the past 2.5 years. And he tells me that his entire family lives in the Atlanta area as well. Given what we just heard from Ms. Scott, Your Honor, I would object to a stay away order from the incident location, as well as to the no further contact request. And Mr. Harris would also like to request a signature bond if that's possible.
Okay, for each charge will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Makes for a total of a $6,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further violent contact with Ms. Scott. 1 day of anger awareness. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Harris. Who would you like for me to go next?
ACDC.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present. We are providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their service. Who do we have first?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. We have Position 1, Ms. Gracie.
Good afternoon, Officer Milton.
Good afternoon, sir.
Ms. Bracy, you have been charged in case 25CR003426Y with 2 counts of battery family violence, simple battery family violence, and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, Judge. Give me 1 second, please.
Okay.
I'm showing a total of 4 cycles. Last arrest was from April of 2024 out of Dade County. My wave sounding on the charge is a misdemeanor. I'm not showing any convictions, and I'm showing 1 STA from 2023, and nothing further.
Will you put that charge in the chat to me, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. This happened on June 16th at the Parks and Morella apartment building located at 4300 Flat Shoals Road. Officers spoke with Jada Kirkland, who stated that the defendant and she had been in a verbal altercation that became physical. She stated that the defendant took her belongings, that she was attempting to move out, and the defendant took her belongings and scattered them in front of the door of the residence. And then due to the verbal argument, there became a physical altercation where the defendant attacked her. Officers did observe visible bruising and lacerations to Ms. Kirkland's neck and face. She did receive treatment from EMS, and the defendant was arrested as a result of the injuries that the officer observed to Ms. Kirkland. It appears that Ms. Kirkland was in the process of moving out. There is a $4,000 surety bond preset. We are agreeable to reducing that to a pretrial services bond, given that there were no convictions on this defendant's history that we could see. We are also asking for no further contact with Jada Kirkland, 2-day anger awareness, and again, referencing the fact that Ms. Kirkland was in the process of moving out. We would like a one-time police escort just to ensure that Ms. Kirkland is no longer residing at that address. If she is not, then Ms. Bracy can retake residency of that address. We're furthermore asking for no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. At this time, we would like to sound for Jada Kirkland. That's all for the state.
Thank you. Ms. Kirkland is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Doesn't appear so. Ms. Rosenhuber?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Bracy is 21 years old. I will also note that she did just give birth to a daughter, a baby girl, 3 weeks ago. That little girl is currently staying with a close friend of hers, but Ms. Bracy is anxious to get out, and she is unable to afford the current bond. I know that Mr. McLean has actually worked with Ms. Bracy, went and saw her yesterday, spoke with Ms. Falk. We're very hopeful to get a pretrial signature bond today, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. For each of the battery family violence charges will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For each of the other charges will be a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $6,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Kirkland. She can go back to the Flat Shoals Road address with law enforcement. If Ms. Kirkland is not at that address, she can reside there. If Ms. Kirkland is still there, Ms. Bracy will have to get her belongings and reside somewhere else. 2 days of anger awareness, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Congratulations on your daughter, Ms. Bracy. We have next.
Next is position 4, Ms. Cox.
Good afternoon, Ms. Cox. You have been charged in case 25CR003411E with simple assault, family violence, and terroristic threats and acts. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
I only show 1 prior arrest out of DeKalb County from 2020, and that arrest was for battery, family violence, and cruelty in the third That 2 counts of battery family violence. That does appear to be a conviction out of DeKalb County, and nothing further to add.
Thank you. Ms. Falk? You are mute there, Ms. Falk.
My apologies, Your Honor. This incident occurred on June 18th, so yesterday. Officers responded to 1192 Arlington Avenue Southwest. They observed the defendant, who was holding a hammer in her hand. As they approached, she dropped the hammer and walked toward the officers. The officers had an opportunity to speak to a neighbor who stated she was inside her home and she noticed Mr. Phillips, who is the victim in this case, Lawrence Phillips, walking toward his home. She said the next thing she heard a loud argument coming from outside. She saw Miss Cox, the defendant, saying that she would bust Mr. Lawrence Phillips' head open while holding a hammer. She stated that Mr. Phillips then began walking away, and later she saw the defendant walking around outside venting. She said when she came outside, she asked the defendant not to damage the Tesla outside as it belonged to her niece, which the defendant agreed to do. The officers, again, did observe the defendant holding the hammer, and when they spoke to her, she stated she was just venting and that she had spoken to the neighbor and told her she would not damage the vehicle that was sitting outside. When they spoke to Mr. Phillips said there was a verbal altercation and the defendant had begun tossing his belongings outside of the home, which corroborates what the neighbor who observed the entire incident said. Our recommendation, being that the defendant just was convicted in 2023 for family violence, battery, and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, our recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, $2,000 on the simple assault, $1,000 on the terroristic threats and acts. Stay away from 1196 Arlington Avenue. No further contact with Lawrence Phillips. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And we're also recommending a family violence intervention program. Would like to sound for Mr. Lawrence Phillips. That's all for the state.
Mr. Phillips is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Does not appear so. Mr. Chataya?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Cox is 29 years old. She is a lifelong resident of Atlanta and has strong ties to the community. She got through school as far as the 10th grade. She tells me that she has not had a job in the past 5 years, so she would not be able to afford the bond amount and the FIP condition that the state is asking for. And she also told me that she has 2 daughters, an 8-year-old and a 7-year-old, and that she is a single parent. So for those reasons, Your Honor, my client asks for the lowest bond possible.
She has an 8-year-old and a 7-year-old. Is that what you said, Mr. Chataya?
Yes, that's what she told me, Your Honor.
And does she have custody of those children?
She told me she was a single parent, Your Honor.
Oh. Do you know what her relationship is with Mr. Phillips?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Your Honor, they were dating and had been living together for several weeks at the time of the incident. So that's why it was charged as a family violence.
Do you know if she would have somewhere else to reside, Mr. Chataya, as far as does she have any family here? Anything of that nature? Because I'm not going to allow her to go back to the Arlington Avenue address and have any contact with Mr. Phillips. And if he's presumably staying there, then but it concerns me that these 2 minor children could possibly also be on need housing.
I don't know if she has another address, Your Honor. That's not something I discussed with her.
Your Honor, she said that she does have another place to reside.
Oh, okay, thank you, Officer Melton. You can place your hand down, Ms. Cox. You have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say can be used against you. I'm concerned about the two children for sure. And also, yeah, as with that, if they're with you, the alleged violence as well. For now, it'll be for the simple assault, $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. For the terroristic threats, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2 makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. I do want her to have a social worker visit to assess for BHET and possible housing. No further contact with Mr. Phillips. Stay away from the Arlington Avenue address. She can only go back to that address if Mr. Phillips is not living there, and she goes with a one-time escort to verify that he is not living there. If he is living there, then she's going to have to gather her belongings and find somewhere else to reside. I want her to have 5 days of anger awareness and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Cox.
Judge, what was the amount, please? Thank you.
2,000 signature bond through pretrial for the simple assault and 1,000 for the terroristic threats through pretrial level 2.
All right, thank you. Let's
You're
do
welcome.
number 15, Lee.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lee. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003418H with criminal trespass. Is there a history?
I show a total of 4 cycles. Last arrest was November of 2024 from MARTA for 4 counts of willful obstruction and 1 count of battery. There's no disposition, so that case appears to be open. And 1 STA from 2024, and nothing further.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Fall.
Your Honor, I'm pretty sure when I looked at that case was null prost, but let me just double check. I looked and I didn't see any open cases for him on the 2024 cases. So that last 2024 case from November 9th was placed on the dead docket on December 17th of 2024. Just for your honors, just to let your honor know. The incident that occurred on this date, June 17th, happened at the Metropolitan Branch of the Fulton County Library at 1332 Metropolitan Parkway in Atlanta. The defendant had been at that location the day before and threatened one of the security officers, and the officer reported the incident. The defendant was then trespassed off the premises, and the following day, the defendant returned back to the premises without permission and in violation of that trespass order. The officers did observe the defendant sitting at the computer station, took him into custody and told him to put his hands behind his back. I do have some concern. The defendant, when they were speaking to him, he became irate, dropped to the floor, began to kick his feet. And they asked him for his name. He refused, stating we should already know that since we have him detained. And he stated they were violating federal law by detaining him. So we are going to ask for a social worker visit. We are agreeable due to his lack of history with an SOB through pretrial services. Stay away from all Fulton County libraries, social worker visit, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's all for the state.
Thank you. Any objection to any of that, Ms. Rosenhuber?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And do you know, I am going to have him have a social worker visit. Do you know if he's in need of some assistance with housing?
I do believe that he might need housing and perhaps MH assistance, Judge.
Okay, thank you. As such, it will be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, a social worker visit to assess for a BHET and assist with housing if necessary. Stay away from all Fulton County libraries. no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Lee.
Next, we have petition 16, Ms. Lofton.
Good afternoon, Ms. Lofton. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003419B with simple battery and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, a total of 5 cycles. Last arrest was from February of 2016 for driving while license suspended or revoked. That was a conviction. And then a 2006 theft by shoplifting conviction. And nothing further.
Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. This happened May 16th of 2025 at the Wingstop at 3695 Cascade Road in Atlanta. The defendant had been fired from the business the day before and returned to the business, was irate, yelling at customers, and generally being disruptive. She was asked several times to leave, and then she came into the store, got in the face of Mr. Austin Bird, who was the shift manager, poked him multiple times in the face area on his left cheek with her right index finger. Video surveillance was shown to the officers that did capture the altercation and the just general disturbance. The defendant did leave the location prior to the officers arriving there, which is why it was a gap of time from May to June with her being arrested. Given the lack of history, Your Honor, and the lack of any violence, the state is agreeable to an SOB through pretrial services. Stay away from the Wingstop at 3695 Cascade Road. No further contact with Austin Bird. 2 days of anger awareness and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. We would at this time like to sound for Austin Bird. That's all for the state.
The court, now is your opportunity. Does not appear so. Ms. Rosenhover?
Yes, Your Honor, we have no objection to the state's recommendation for bond. Ms. Lofton is 40 years old. She does reside at the address on file. She lives there with her grandmother here in Atlanta. She's a lifelong Georgia resident and a high school graduate. And given the length of time since her last run-in with law enforcement, we would ask for the court to go along with the state's recommendation.
For the simple battery, a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the criminal trespass, a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 2 days of anger awareness, no further contact with Mr. Bird, stay away from the Wingstop, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Lofton.
Position number 5, Mr. Davidson.
Okay, and we're done, Officer Milton. I'll see you next time. Have a good rest of your day. Good afternoon, Mr. Davidson. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003412C with criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, a total of 10 cycles. Last arrest was March of this year for criminal trespass. There was a conviction. Appears to be on probation for that case. 25 CR 001506C. Disposition was April 1st. 12 months probation. Also a second probation sentence on April 1st for criminal trespass. 25 CR 00527C. And then a 2024 September theft by shoplifting and criminal trespass conviction also appears to be a probation. 24 CR 006046D and 1 FTA from this year and nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. This happened on June 18th of 2025 at 9 a.m. at the H&R Food Mart at 980 Hollywood Road in Atlanta. Officers were dispatched out to that location. They observed the defendant standing in the middle of the store. They spoke with Miss Emabet Bekele, who stated that the defendant was standing outside of the store because she refused to serve him. She locked the doors to prevent him from re-entering. He then began forcefully pulling the door open, damaging both the door and the alarm system. After that incident that occurred, she called 911 and he refused to leave the property and remained on scene until the officers arrived. He was then placed under arrest. The defendant is actually also in custody on 25 CR 0000527C. That's from a probation violation that was filed. He was sentenced on that criminal trespass, by Your Honor, on April 1st of 2025. It was a different location than this criminal trespass, but I just wanted to point that out for the fact that he is currently violating probation less than 2.5 months after he was sentenced, by Your Honor. We are asking for a $1,000 surety bond. Stay away from the H&R Food Mart located at 980 Hollywood Road in Atlanta. No further contact with Miss Emebet Bekele, that is E-M-E-B-E-T, Bekele, B-E-K-E-L-E. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And we would also ask for a social worker visit, just have some concerns based on the facts of this case. But the reason the state is asking for a $1,000 surety bond is due to the history and the fact that this involved property damage. It wasn't a simple criminal trespass where he came on the property and they didn't want him there. He actually damaged the property to get back into the building after he was denied entry. That's all for the state.
Okay. Mr. Chataya, something's obviously going on with Mr. Davidson. So I'd like to see if I can get him some assistance, but go ahead, Mr. Chataya.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Davidson's 21 years old. He's lived in Atlanta his entire life. He's never lived anywhere else. He left school in the 9th grade, and he tells me that he currently is unemployed and he likely would not be able to afford the bond the state is requesting. So for those reasons, Your Honor, he requests the lowest surety amount possible or a signature bond. And in terms of his ties, he also tells me that he has family living in Atlanta. His mom, aunt, sisters, or sister, singular, and cousins live here as well.
Given that, Mr. Chataya, that I've seen Mr. Davidson before and I've sentenced him before, I want to put him back on my SAP calendar. So Ms. Bridgewater, can we place him on the July 1st SAP calendar? And in the meantime, Mr. Chataya, I'm going to ask that we have a social worker visit with him. I need to make sure that he has some type of placement so that if I do reconsider the bond, I know that he's going to someone that's going to look after him. If he does not have placement, if you'll have the social worker work with him. So at this time, it'll be $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the H&R Food Mart. No further contact with Mr. Kale. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, and we'll place him on that July 1st. Mr. Chataya, please make note with whoever's at that SAP calendar, and Ms. Falk might be there with me, so she can help to remind me. But let's see if we can get him some type of placement so that, and see if we can work with him so that we don't see him back again. Okay.
Yes,
Any
Your
questions,
Honor.
Miss? Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Bridgewater?
No, sir. I'll put him on the 1st.
And
Okay. Ms.
Your Honor,
Falk?
do you want the probation violation to be addressed on the 1st as well, since you're already going to be addressing this new case?
Good idea. So why don't we make sure that we can put the probation case on there as well so that maybe we can resolve them all at the same time, if possible. Thank you. Okay. All right. Mr. Davidson, I'll see you back. Thank you, sir.
Number 14, Mr. Keith Whiter.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kicklighter. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003417E with giving false information to law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Total of 14 cycles. Last arrest was from May 17th of this year out of Gwinnett County for a FTA and battery. A 2023 conviction for 2 counts of simple battery. A 2022 conviction for willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Another 2022 conviction for 2 counts of willful obstruction. A 2014 conviction for 4 counts of entering auto and theft by receiving stolen property, and 2 other FTAs, 2023 and 2022, and nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened when a concerned citizen made contact with officers in regards to 2 males on the sidewalk in front of the Studio 6 Hotel at 9955 Old Dogwood Road in reference to a past trespassing call at the BP where the defendants had fled on foot westbound in the direction of Old Dogwood Road. The officer saw the 2 males who matched the description of the trespassing call, got out of the vehicle, spoke to them about the trespassing at BP. The manager had informed the officer that the 2 males had been trespassing earlier in the day. He confirmed that they had been at the BP. He asked them for their name and address. One of the men who was the defendant gave the name Frederick Contreras with a date of birth of 10/25/93. They were unable to find that name. He then gave the name Frederick James with the same date of birth. They again had trouble finding him that way. He finally gave his real name of Frederick James Kicklighter. And when they ran his information, it showed he had multiple warrants out of Gwinnett County. So normally the state on a giving false name would agree to a signature bond. However, because he has so many FTAs, I think 3 in the last 3 years, the state does not feel confident he is going to appear for court if called. In addition, he has the outstanding warrants out of Gwinnett. We are asking for a $1,000 surety bond, which is a reduction from the surety bond set by the magistrate court of $5,000, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's it for the state.
Yes, Mr. Chitaya.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Kicklighter is 31 years old. He's lived in Georgia since 2001. He tells me that he has some college under his belt. He studied business management and hospitality. He briefly had a food service job in 2020, but he hasn't worked since then. He's currently on survivor's disability as well. And he tells me that he lost all his money and savings due to a theft sometime last year. Your Honor, for those reasons, he wouldn't be able to afford any bond. So we ask the court to consider the possibility of a signature bond, otherwise the lowest surety amount possible.
Okay, I'll reduce it to $1,000 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
We can do South Annex number 7. Have a seat. Have a seat, I'm telling you. South Annex.
I think that did they?
Go ahead for South Annex.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. He's having a seat now.
Okay. Position number 7, Mr. Garland.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Garland.
Yeah.
I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003414C with possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under 18 years of age. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
I show 1 prior arrest from May 9th of this year for theft by receiving stolen property, fleeing or attempting to elude an obstruction. That case number is 25 PI 003683, and nothing further.
Ms. Falk? You're on mute there.
My apologies, Your Honor. June 17th is the date of this incident. Officers were patrolling the location of Hamilton E. Holmes Drive and Collier Road. They saw a vehicle strike the double yellow line, nearly veering into oncoming traffic. So they initiated a traffic stop. They approached the driver, who's Mr. Carlson Lester, and informed him of the reason they stopped him. He stated he was attempting to move a sweater. While they were speaking to him, they smelled the strong odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle. Both parties admitted to smoking marijuana in the vehicle earlier. And when questioned, both stated there were no weapons inside of the vehicle. A search of the vehicle was conducted due to the presence of illegal narcotics, and the officers recovered a Sig Sauer P320 handgun off of the defendant, who was the passenger in the vehicle. They determined he was 17 years of age, and the driver was cited for the failure to maintain lane. The concern the state has on this one, Your Honor, is on that 25 PI 003686 case. The defendant was charged with fleeing and eluding from police, theft by receiving, and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. He was given a $5,500 surety bond on those charges. And within a month of that offense, he now has this new offense for having a handgun and being under the age of 18. He is definitely headed in the wrong direction as far as the state is concerned, given those circumstances and given that he was already out on bond when this new case occurred. For that reason, the state is asking for a $5,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, surrender any and all firearms to the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. It goes without saying, because he is still 17 years of age, he is to have no firearms in his possession, and no further contact with Carlson Lester, who was the driver of the vehicle who he was smoking marijuana with and found and had a gun in his car. That's all for the state.
Mr. Chataya?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Garland is 17 years old. He's a lifelong Atlanta resident. He currently attends Atlanta Tech. He's working towards his GED. And he tells me that for the past year, he has been working as a volunteer worker at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. He also tells me that he currently lives with his grandmother. And I also reached out to his mother, Your Honor, Miss Shepard. I asked her to be on the Zoom call because I anticipate that the court's going to ask for a parent cosigner. So I already sent her the cosign links and told her to submit those forms after the bond hearings today. And if she's on the Zoom call, I'd like for her to be given a chance to speak if she wants to say anything about Mr. Garland's character. And apart from that, Your Honor, given his age, we request a signature bond.
Tell me the name of the parent.
It's Miss Shepard, Your Honor. Her last name is spelled Shepard. Before the bond hearing started, I was able to get in touch with her and I asked her to attend the hearings, but I don't see her. And she hasn't called me asking for a new link. So, the link that I emailed her, I mean, if she didn't get it, she would have called me.
Shepard is on the line. Now is your opportunity to address the court. I'm certainly not going to allow him to have a signature bond in any respect if there's no one on here to talk to me about it. So he'll be placed back on the SAP calendar, Mr. Chataya. I'm going to take the state's recommendation of it.
Excuse me, I'm here. I had an issue unmuting my call. I've been here the whole time since 2 p.m.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Can you come on camera for me?
Yes, I can. 1 second, I was trying to figure this out. Okay, can you see me?
Yeah, yes, I can. And tell me your last name, ma'am.
My last name is Shepard.
Good afternoon, Miss Shepard. Can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down. Ms. Falk, are you able to get the bond conditions for that other bond that he's on so that I can question Ms. Shepard about any conditions of that bond?
Yes, Your Honor, I have those up now. The bond was $2,500 on the theft by receiving stolen property felony, which was a vehicle, by the way. The driving and fleeing and eluding was $1,500, and the willful obstruction of an officer was $1,500 for a total of $5,500. Cash or other good bond. The defendant was not given pretrial services, and he was also told to stay away from Yartiza Lorenzo. No contact with the victim of any kind, directly or indirectly. That's the owner of the car, and no contact with the co-defendant directly or indirectly. That's Mr. Pearsall, Pearsall is the name. And that was ordered on May 10th, 2025 by Judge Petty.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Shepherd, what would you like to tell me?
So I was just gonna say, Chaz has a support system. Me, his father is prevalent in is present in his life, his grandmother, and and we working on getting him on track. He did start GED school. He actually just got a job at AutoZone before this happened. And I know she mentioned he was headed in the wrong direction, but I mean, he's a minor, not to excuse anything he's done, but um I want to work with them and try to get him on the right path before I just label him as some kind of criminal.
Okay. Is he at Atlanta?
Oh,
I have a couple
sorry, Your
questions,
Honor.
Ms. Falk, then I'll let
Yes,
you.
Your Honor.
Is he at Atlanta Tech?
Yes, he's currently enrolled in the GED program at Atlanta Tech.
Okay, and how often does he go to class?
He goes twice a week because I take him on my off days to make sure he's attending. So that's on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Okay. AutoZone, when did he get that job?
Well, he actually haven't even went to orientation for it. I want to say I think this past Friday was when he went to the interview and they hired him, and then he was supposed to get some information in regards to orientation, but we hadn't got anything up until this point, right when this happened. So
Okay, aside from 2 days a week at Atlanta Tech, what does he do with the rest of his time?
with the rest of his time, he's usually down at my mother's house, helping her around the yard and around the house, and up into the AutoZone job, looking for employment and figuring out what he want to do. But once he get his GED, he said he want to do welding.
Okay. Was he in high school at some point? What happened with that?
Yes, he was in high school at some point, and then he was put out of high school due to behavior issues.
This Carlston Lester, do you know who that is?
Yes, I do know him. And I met his mother recently.
Is he a friend of Garland's?
Yes, he stayed. Well, his brother stayed in the same neighborhood as us, and Chaz met him out here in the neighborhood. So yeah, they pretty good friends as far as I know.
Do you know whether or not your son's been smoking marijuana?
I had some suspicions that he was.
Okay. And what about this alleged gun? Do you all have a gun in the house?
I do, but it's not that. It's a 9mm Ruger, but I don't know where he got that gun from. We definitely didn't buy him a gun, and he didn't get it from us. I never owned it. My mother doesn't even own a gun at all. My sister, no one owns a gun except for me. So I don't know where he got that from.
Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor, just a couple of questions, if I may. Ms. Shepherd, do you know why your son was out at 11 o'clock at night on the, let's see, this happened on the 17th?
So I'm not sure. Chad should have been in the house. I actually was supposed to take him to school the next day. Um, I had no idea he was out. He didn't leave out at night at like 10 or 11 o'clock. He was already out earlier that day. We called him and he say he's coming home. So I mean, he shouldn't have been. He didn't have permission to be out, but yeah, it was. I couldn't do nothing about it.
Okay. And just to clear up some confusion, because PD Chataya said that he was staying with your mother. So is he living with your mother or is he living with you?
So he's living with my mom.
Okay. Is there any reason he's not living with you at this time, being that you're his custodial parent?
So me and his dad and his siblings are here, and him and his father doesn't get along. So we felt like it was best if he wouldn't stay with my mother for.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please go
Oh,
ahead.
no problem. Oh no, just for a couple months.
Okay. And how old is your mother?
My mom she turned 64 May 2nd.
And is she in good health? Is she able to keep up with a 17-year-old?
She's in good health. She actually works at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium with him. She's the one who helped him get the job down there with a volunteer job. And my family has a stand that they run down there. So we all work down there from time to time. But yeah, she in good health. She's not disabled, no walker, wheelchair, nothing like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Shepard. That's all I have.
No problem.
All right. Anything further from Mr. Chataya or Ms. Falk?
Nothing, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Shepard, what's your first name?
My first name is Keandra, and it's Keondra.
All right. At this time, I'm going
And
to
I was just wanting to say my last name has two P's in it.
Sheppard.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to release him to your custody, but I'm going to put a lot of restrictions on him. You understand me? Because
Yes.
and I'm going to make sure that he follows those restrictions. If I did give him a surety bond, I wouldn't have any way of really monitoring him. So for that reason, I am going to give him a signature bond through pretrial and release him into your custody. But it's going to be a very high signature bond through pretrial. If he gets in any more trouble, that's going to be withdrawn. So at this point in time, it's going to be place your hand down for now, Mr. Garland. I see you there. It's going to be a $20,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. He's to be released to your care. You are to be the parental co-signer, Keandra Shepard.
Yes.
He is to have a curfew. He is to be in the house by 9 p.m. and he's not to leave the house again until 6 a.m. That should give him plenty of time to do any work or any schooling that he has. He is to continue to get his GED on a weekly basis. If he still has that job at AutoZone, he is to go to work as often as possible. If he does not have that job at AutoZone, he's to look for work on a regular basis.
Okay.
He is to not have any further contact with Carlston Lester. He is
Okay.
to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. I'm going to monitor that by having drug and alcohol screens. So he is to have random drug and alcohol screens to make sure that he's not on any drugs or alcohol. He should not, at his age, be indulgent in alcohol. He is to surrender all firearms that he might have, given that he cannot be in your household if you have a firearm in the household. So you're telling me he's with his grandmother. So either you have to get rid of that firearm if he's going to come back to live with you, or he's to live with his grandmother.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, do we understand each other?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I understand.
I'm going to give him the opportunity. I know he's 17 years old. He's got these charges. Let's see if we can get him back on the right track.
Yes,
Now,
please.
now, Chaz, if you violate any of these conditions, if you do a drug screen or an alcohol screen and it comes back positive, this bond is going to be revoked and you're going to be right back where you are. You understand me? Okay. So I'm gonna give him that opportunity, Miss Shepherd. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Judge.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here this afternoon.
Okay.
And Chaz, I hope that you stay on the straight and narrow and get yourself in order.
Thank you.
know?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're causing your mother here, I'm sure, great grief.
Yes.
Okay, having to look after you and the things that you're doing. You need to get yourself together, Chaz.
Yes, sir.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. All
Number
right.
17, Logan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Logan. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003427A with criminal trespass and damage to property, simple assault, and possession and use of drug-related objects. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
I show a total of 28 cycles. Last arrest was February of this year for possession of a Schedule II controlled substance. FTAs 2024, 2013, and 2010. A 2022 conviction for possession of marijuana. A 2020 conviction for forgery and theft by taking. 2 2019 convictions for driving while license suspended or revoked. A 2014 battery conviction. 2009 simple assault family violence conviction. 2008 2008 forgery conviction, and 2003 burglary conviction. Nothing further.
Ms. Harrison?
Yes, Your Honor. On June 18th, which was yesterday, officers responded to a vandalism call at 800 Glenwood Avenue Southeast. They spoke to the victim when they arrived, Mr. Gerandis Vasquez, and a witness, Mr. Pippins. Mr. Vasquez stated that he stopped at the traffic light at Bill Kennedy Way and the I-20 East ramp when the defendant asked for money, and Mr. Vasquez refused. The defendant threw a rock which broke the right driver's side rear light. Mr. Vasquez then got out of his vehicle and began to record the defendant on his cell phone, and the defendant swung at him as he was leaving the location on a bike. Officers were able to review the video provided by Mr. Vasquez and Mr. Pippins at the scene, and they also encountered another witness, Mr. Harrison, who also had video of the incident and provided that to officers as well. The second witness, I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison, saw the defendant at the location, and officers began a foot pursuit heading west on the I-20 ramp in pursuit of the defendant. They lost sight of him as he went into a wooded area on the side of the road, and when he came out of the wooded area, they were able to detain him. Once they conducted a search of the defendant before transporting him in the vehicle, they discovered drug paraphernalia in the form of a syringe and a rubber strap. The state's recommendation, in light of the defendant's previous criminal history, open cases, and FTAs, is a $2,500 surety bond, $1,000. I'm sorry. Yes, $1,000 on a simple assault and $500 on a criminal trespass and the drug-related objects. We're asking for no contact at all with Mr. Vasquez, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while on bond. And we'd like a social worker visit to conduct the BHET, and provide the defendant with any residential resources as needed. And that'll be all for the state. We'll sound for Mr. Vasquez in case he's joined us in court.
Next case is on and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Does not appear so. Ms. Rosenhuber?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Logan is 42 years old. He is residentially challenged. He's a lifelong Georgia resident and does have his GED. At this time, Your Honor, I believe that the bond in this case is already set at $2,000. Mr. Logan is not able to afford that or anything other than a pretrial services bond. So that's our request of the court, but we would at least ask the court to consider not raising his bond. Thank you.
Okay, for each charge will be a $500 good bond, makes for a total of a $1,500 good bond. Social worker visit to assess for BHET and housing. No further contact with Mr. Vasquez. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Logan.
Number 21, Robert.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Roberts. Good afternoon, sir. You have been charged in case 25 CR 003431J with driving under the influence of alcohol, reckless driving, driving while your license was suspended or revoked, and littering from a motor vehicle. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
I show a total of 21 cycles. Last arrest was from 2012 for driving while license suspended or revoked. He has driving while license suspended or revoked convictions in 2009, 2008, 2006, 2004, 1997, 1994, and 1991. And then DUI convictions in 97 and 94. And nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Nixon?
Yes, Your Honor, this occurred on June 18th, 2025. Officer was parked on the side of the roadway of Marietta Boulevard when they observed the defendant driving a white Dodge Ram throw a bottle out of the passenger side window. The officer pulled the defendant over. Here, the defendant admitted that he had a suspended license, and the officer could smell an odor of alcohol coming from the vehicle and observed that his eyes were glossed over, sleepy, and bloodshot. He admitted to having 3 Bud Light beers prior to driving the vehicle. Further, the defendant agreed to field sobriety test, took the HCN test, where the officer checked his pupils and used his right index finger as a stimulus, and the defendant displayed 6 out of 6 clues there. He moved his head instead of his eyes. His eyes could not smoothly follow his fingers, amongst others. He did the walk and turn test, and he could not stay focused and kept losing his balance, amongst other signs, displaying 5 out of 8 clues. And he did the one leg stand, and he put his foot down before the test was completed, exhibiting 2 out of 4 clues there. The defendant was subsequently arrested. Your Honor, you heard the numerous driving while license suspended, as well as the 1 to 2 other DUIs here. State's concerned, he could have harmed himself or the general public. Has numerous, again, driving while license suspended arrests and convictions. As such, Your Honor, as well as I think a 2009 FTA. State's going to recommend a $2,000 surety bond for the DUI, $1,000 surety for the reckless driving, and $1,000 surety for the driving while license suspended, and $100 surety for the littering. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. ADET, and no driving on Georgia roadways. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Rosenhuber?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Roberts is 60 years old. The address on file is up to date. He resides there with his wife and his daughter. He is a lifelong Georgia resident. His entire family does reside here in Georgia. He's self-employed and he made it to the 6th grade. At this time, Judge, he is unable to afford the $3,100 bond that was preset. So we would request a good bond not to exceed $2,000 total. Thank you.
Okay, for each charge will be a $500 good bond, makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. ADET, no driving without a valid license, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Roberts. Okay, this is Miss.
We just cleared the courtroom, Your Honor.
Okay, and this is Mr. Brown.
It is position 2.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Grace, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Can we go off the YouTube, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.